Hey guys, this is Senora here with you. I have a flipped classroom assignment number 14 ready for you. It is a very important assignment because I am going to give you the wrap-up explanation for the applications of the singular form of the verb to be in Spanish, and I am also going to give you some pointers on the tests that you will be taking from here on in, and I'm referring to the chapter tests, okay? So here it goes. We have that the title for this assignment is El Verbo Ser y Más. Okay? The verb ser and more. These are three things that were brought to my attention during the day of today in class with some students in different sections of each one of them. And it was the fact that I explained that L with the accent mark over the E means he, as opposed to L without an accent mark over the E, it means the. And you have seen this written out in this first chapter throughout, where it's been Él es un muchacho, he is a boy, the L, he is, as opposed to el muchacho, the boy. Okay? The other thing was when using the third person singular for addressing a person that's a figure of authority, you are to address that person with their title, just like in English with the Mr. or the Mrs. or the Miss, right? When you are addressing them directly, and for that matter in Spanish, you are to use the third person singular form of the verb. Likewise, whenever you are talking to someone about that other person, that third person that's a figure of authority, you need to use a definite article in front of the title of that person. Such as, for example, and I gave you guys the example of when you're speaking to a friend about me, you would say, La señora Keller es whatever, okay? And the form of the verb that you should be using also when you are talking about that person in that third person, because it's a figure of authority, the verb should go in the singular form, the third person. Okay? So moving on. This is the basic format you should be very familiar with. We used this in the previous flipped classroom, number 13, and I'm bringing it up again because, like I said, it's very important that you become very familiar with it. We were not using this right-hand side, which is for the plural form. We're just getting familiar with the left-hand side. And we said that it was first person across, second person across. And we had here the third person across. And for that singular side, we had yo soy, I am. Tú eres, you are. Es with the three, which would be él es, he is, ella es, and usted es. Okay, so he, she, and the formal you. I have here a set of exercises for you to do. They are very similar to the ones we have done in class. You need to copy them, and you need to highlight the subject in the sentence so that you identify the subject, write your little format over it, and you need to put a dot to identify the person and the number of that subject. And then you're going to choose the correct form, hopefully, of the verb that you need to write in the blank. The sentences are pretty similar to the ones you will be having in your tests for this section. Remember that you can stop and rewind your video as needed. I will continue. Okay, I'm not giving you any time during the video so that it doesn't take up a long time for me to make it. The test type questions that I will be giving you pointers on are going to be, this is one. You need to be aware that we only have so many words that are going to be see like opposites or descriptive adjectives that have a complete opposite, and you'll see these as we go, and we cover more vocabulary. Right now, for this first example, we're going to do our analytical capacities, I should say, and being able to see if a question or if a sentence is written correctly or incorrectly, or if what it's saying might be correctly stated or not. For example, we have, La señora Paz es muy generosa. Well, La señora Paz sounds correct up to there. La señora Paz, Mrs. Paz. And then it says, eres muy generosa. Well, the eres muy generosa is incorrect because eres is for second person singular, right? Or when you're familiar with someone, but you are in a last name basis with this person. So you can't use the second person singular. You have to use the verb in the third person singular. So in that case, we have that is the incorrect component in this sentence, because the descriptive adjective is okay. It's correlated with the gender. It's feminine and singular, and that's fine. So I would have to say that this example here is incorrect. So that would be a B. So here you have a set of 8 of them that you need to copy, and to analyze each one of them and to see according to what we have studied up to now if they are correctly written or correctly stated or not. Okay, we're moving on now to part B. Here you are going to have some questions that have to deal with opposites, descriptive adjectives, okay? So I'm giving you an example here with arriba for up and abajo for down. We haven't covered these words, but I wasn't about to cover one of the words that we have covered just because I'd be running out of words, right? So I'm using one that we haven't covered, and I'm just indicating what they are with an arrow. And those are opposites. So here you have the set of descriptive adjectives that you need to copy, and you need to write next to it in parentheses what its opposite is going to be. And remember, when I say opposite, I'm not referring specifically to the gender. We're referring to it being an opposite descriptive adjective. Okay, just like up, the opposite will be down. And last but not least, the last set of questions that are test type questions is the one where you have to decide from a column that we have here on the left hand side which word on the right hand side, right, or expression is complementary or opposite to it. So here you have el día. You have to see which one here would be the opposite, which if it's the day, you have to look for something that's opposite to day. There are other words here, names that you should be familiar with. That has to do with an assignment you had last Friday, and it dealt with a reading material you had on page 30, I believe. It was a short story in Spanish, and the questions that you were to answer about the short story were on page 31. Please refer back to that. If you did not do it, you need to do that before you actually are able to do this last exercise. Okay, well, this is the end of this video. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you afterwards. You can see me during Dutch time if you need any help.